So I made a decision. I'm leaving the UK. I'm leaving everything behind. My friends, my family, my comfort zone, to try and build a business somewhere I can actually live and not just survive.
This is Rob. He didn't know it yet, but that decision will lead him to travel around the world for 12 months, get 35,000 followers on X, co-build a product with Tibo Maker, and reach $14,000 a month. But it was not an easy road. When he took over SuperX, it was a broken product. For 7 months, he rebuilt it while making no money and living out of a backpack.
I was banging my head against the wall. People say, did you doubt along the way? Yes, I doubted nearly every single day.
But he never gave up.
I had ultimate faith. I knew there was not a bone in my body that doubted that I was going to get SuperX to think or not.
This conversation is longer than any podcast I published so far, and there is a reason for it. I asked him all the questions that any indie hackers or founders who are building a product will have thought about.
I've never gotten the opportunity to talk about that. It excites me because I'm like, this is the real work.
And Rob gave everything. His exact 90-day playbook to grow on X, 3 algorithm glitches to exploit on X in 2026, why distribution matters more than code, and how to get his famous viral features ideas. I'm super excited to share this conversation with you, so let's dive in. So Rob, it all started with that viral video where you quit your job, pack your backpack, and flew to Brazil with no return ticket to go all in into indie hacking. I want to know, how did you feel at that moment?
Good question. Hello. I was nervous. I was very, very nervous. I think the number one emotion that I felt was nerves. But this thing that they say that nerves and excitement are the same feeling, the same emotion. But it's just how you look at it. I was feeling that, I think. So it was nerves, but excitement at the same time because I was going to Rio de Janeiro. I think the most nervous thing was not just the filming in public, it was going to Rio de Janeiro. And if you know Rio de Janeiro, as going there as a solo backpacker into the wilderness. And when I posted this tweet, the video that you talk about, that tweet that blew up, I opened it and I read the comments, and all the comments were talking about, be careful in Rio de Janeiro, don't get mugged, you're going to get kidnapped. And I was like, okay, great. And at the same time, I'm thinking about the business that I'm trying to create, and I'm thinking about the video that I'm trying to create as well. It's like the overwhelm of stimulus and things going on. So it was nerves, overwhelm, just trying to take it a step at a time. So yeah, I don't even think I was processing it at the time until much later after.
What was the situation for you? Like, were you working for someone as a freelance? Did you already start a project? Like, what was the situation exactly?
At that time?
Yeah.
At that time, I was, so that was January 2025 when I posted this video saying I was going all in. In August 2024, so 4 months prior, I posted this tweet. And I basically shared that I'd failed for a year. So from about August 2023 to August 2024, I failed. I made no money whatsoever. I'd just been spending my savings. And that post went viral. And with the momentum of that post, someone commented saying that I should start a development agency with my skills and make some money. And so I did exactly that. I had the momentum of the post. The next day, I launched this new agency. And then I got my first client through that subsequent post of $3,000. And I kept posting, and I shared the wins of that client, and I got my next client and my next client. And so this is what I was doing from August 2024 until basically that post, about December 2024. I was just getting clients through X inbound, through these viral posts. And that was what led me up to building SuperX, which I eventually built and I started building in January 2025. When I flew out to Rio de Janeiro, I was like, okay, I'm going to commit to working on SuperX. But that's a separate story in and of itself because I didn't know if I was actually going to work on SuperX at that point. So I built up my savings, which allowed me to take that leap to go to Rio de Janeiro. And I built up that savings through running this agency. And that also taught me that you can make money, like a bucket load of money on X, whether it's through an agency or something else. There's money on X,
And when you posted this video, how many followers did you have? Did you know any indie hacker? Were you famous in that field, or what?
So
What were you?
good question. Yeah, because this is something I think people don't know a lot about. So I'd been posting since mid 2023 up until that point when I posted that Rio de Janeiro filming in public airport video that went viral. I've been posting about a year and a half, and so I'd grown from 0 followers to probably about 3,500, 4,000 followers. I think by that point, that was just through growing my agency because like I said, I was having viral posts as I was growing my agency and signing clients, and that got me to about 4,000 followers. And then I posted that post. And in 24 hours from that post, I got 5,000 followers. So I like doubled what I'd done in a year and a half in 24 hours just with one post. So that got me to like 10,000 followers. And then from that post, so January 2025 until what we're in December 2025 now, a year. Yeah, it's like exponential, I guess.
You never ever stopped posting. You kept that momentum, but we'll talk about that later. Let's talk first about growing on X. I think now you are kind of an expert of that. So as someone who grew to over 35K followers now, you also helped a lot of people with their X strategy and also through SuperX. What would be, let's say, a 90-day plan to grow on X as an indie hacker, if you had to start over?
I like that question. So I have this, like, if you want to call it a playbook, I guess that's what you're asking for.
Yeah.
If you had 90 days, the most important thing is to get your profile right. This is what people don't do. Get your profile right. And what I mean by getting your profile right on X is putting a profile picture of yourself, because the number one thing we're up against on X today in 2025 and 2026, maybe when this video goes live, is AI, and it's AI slop. So if you put a picture of yourself and it's an AI generated image, so are all the other bots on X. If you put a picture of a landscape, that might be great. You know, if you just want your family and friends to follow you. But if you want to be recognized by people on X, on a public platform, this doesn't apply to everybody. Obviously, there are exceptions. But if I was going to do it myself in 90 days, I think this is the easiest way to build the traction. It's just put a picture of yourself. Put a picture, a friendly, recognizable picture of yourself, and then don't change it. Set your bio to describe what you're doing in 1 or 2 lines maximum. And then the most important part of your profile, besides the profile picture, is the pin post. So this is where you're establishing what your profile is about, right? What are you doing? Because let's say you have a viral post and people click on your profile. They're going to then go and follow you. But first of all, you might not necessarily, and I don't think, well, when you click on someone's viral post and you go to follow them, do you immediately follow them just because of that viral post, or do you look at their profile and go like, what is this guy about? Do I want to follow this guy? You know,
Yeah.
probably look at their profile and you go like, what is this person worth following? And then you'll follow. So what the pin post does is it's like an elevator pitch on your profile. And so it allows you to say what you're doing, what you're working towards, basically what your story is, what you're building. And this is where I would say, if you have 90 days, pick a goal and commit to it. So for me, it was January 2025, the post that went viral. In it, I quite literally said, my goal is to build a SaaS business to $10,000 a month and to document the process. And I pinned that post. So for a year, I had that post pinned. So whenever someone went on my profile, they saw my picture, they saw my bio that said like, you're shipping like a madman while I travel the world, which is just like a generic statement. And then they saw my pin post, which was saying, you know, I'm in Rio de Janeiro. I left my home. I'm living on savings. I left my job. Now I'm trying to build a SaaS $10,000 a month. Then they scroll below the pin post and all of a sudden they see this, you know, the progress. Maybe I'm at $5,600 a month out of $10,000 a month. And they're like, oh, let's follow this guy, see if he gets to $10,000 a month. That's what a lot of people did. And that's why I think in part I got a lot of followers. And then there's the content side. So that's like the profile side. That's once people, I don't know, the lower down funnel, the top of the funnel is your content, right? And that, you know, is a whole discussion in itself. But there's this framework that I use that I can explain here now, I think, which is that for content, the way I do most of my content is following this this loop of 4 content styles, which is entertaining, educational, inspirational, and convincing, which is basically like selling your product or selling something. So if you look at a lot of my viral posts, and the way I go about posting is I'll post something entertaining. Like, in a way, that viral post about leaving my home and living on savings is both entertaining because it's, you know, it's like a video, it's a vlog, it's what's he doing in Rio de Janeiro, and it's also inspirational. But one very clear example of an entertaining thing is, I don't know, Florian, have you seen the video I posted, which was like I these dancing demos with my glasses and stuff, demo product?
Yeah.
A lot of people thought that was funny and found it interesting and wanted to watch it, and you know, and I thought it was fun as well. I had a blast making it, which is why I made a bunch more. But what that allowed me to do is it allowed me to go viral in the algorithm. This can apply to memes and other stuff. It allows you to go viral in the algorithm. And then the way that X works is that X recognizes in the algorithm, if you've interacted with someone's tweet, then it's going to try and serve that person's tweets to you again over the next, you know, day or so. So if you have a viral post, all of a sudden you basically warmed yourself up in the algorithm. So now there are lots of people who are going to be serve your future content, which is why the next part of the loop after entertaining is I go into educational, which is where you'll say, you know, this is how you write a thread or something. This is how, if it was me, well, literally what we're talking about, how I would grow an X in 2025, in 2026, and you do an educational thing. And you're basically giving some value. So obviously entertaining is entertainment value, and then there's educational value. And now all of a sudden this thread is going to be served to all these people. It's even better if they can connect. So if there's a similarity between the entertaining content and the educational content, even better. For example, the entertaining content could be, you know, a funny video of me posting a dancing demo of demoing a tweet. Demoing my platform, which helps you grow on X, and then follow up with that of an educational thread on how to grow on X. And then people get to the bottom of that. You've given a bunch of free value. And then it comes to the convincing and selling bit. Convincing and selling bit kind of dribbles throughout. But that was where I would say, like, you know, authentically, here's how you grow on X. Try using SuperX. SuperX is free to grow on X, and you can try it for free for 7 days. So I put that in, you know, the bottom tag. And then the final thing is the inspirational. So we have entertaining, educational, and inspirational. And by this point, you're going to have more views, you're going to have more followers, and take a screenshot of that, maybe more sales, post about that, post about what that means to you, how it connects back to your story, which is the pin post, right? And then that potentially will go viral as well. And then you reconnect the loop. So then you go back to entertaining content, post a funny video, you warm yourself up into the algorithm. And this sort of sounds cold and calculated, potentially, but if you follow this process, obviously you can do stuff outside of this loop. But I think having a framework is what a lot of people don't have, and this is why people aren't consistent and why they drop off, because they're posting randomly rather than with intention. This is the intentional framework that I base a lot of my content around. And then, of course, I post stuff that I feel like posting in and of that.
I love it.
This is the process that I would say. Get your profile right. Follow this framework. Iterate. Be authentic. Be vulnerably yourself. And do cool things. And that's a super generic statement, but build stuff that is cool to you. And if it's cool to you and you feel lit up inside about it, then I guarantee there will be other people that are lit up inside by consuming your content as well. So do cool stuff, and then the content follows from that. If I hadn't built a cool feature that I could then do a dancing demo of, I wouldn't have been able to make that video. So do the cool stuff, then follow this framework. You can't just, you know, force the content.
It remember me, I don't know if you know or you remember Miss Excel. She was like the first one kind of who made like not make money, but yeah, almost make money content on TikTok. She was teaching Excel, and she was dancing while presenting formula on Excel. And thanks to that, like thanks to the entertainment of like dancing on this video, she got a lot of views. And then she was making like 6-figure amounts selling this Excel course. And then she got contract with actually like, big company and everything to teach Excel, just because at the beginning she was dancing and showing Excel formula. And I think that represents exactly what you say, because if you take a step back, the people who are making the most money now in content are mainly entertaining. And then at the end of the funnel, they are selling something, but the top of the funnel is really entertainment.
100%.
Mm.
100% agree. Yeah.
And after this content strategy, do you have any tricks like engagement tactic? Should I comment? Should I do like anything like that? Should I make a group with my friends to engage with each other? Like, do you have anything?
Yeah, I think engagement pods, what you just described, are a great idea. If you have a group of friends who can constantly reinforce your posts, it's a great, it's just like real life. The thing that I think people approach X and approach social media in general as is like this black box, because we don't know how the algorithm works. And it's this thing that we've got to poke and prod at and try and intellectualize. But I really don't think we need to intellectualize it that much. Every day we go to parties, go to events, introduce ourselves to people. We, you go around and you do these sort of things that social media emulates every day, all the time. So if you have some degree of social skills, you'll have some degree of social media skills, is how I look at it. So the way I look at X, whenever I try and describe X, specifically X, obviously X is what I'm an expert on compared to relative to the other platforms, is X is like a big room that you go into where everybody's partying and talking and mingling. And if you're just coming onto X for the first time, you're just this guy who walks in the door. Nobody's looking at you. Everyone's deep in conversations with each other and mingling and moving around. Imagine this the biggest, networking event, a global networking event of infinite size. Well, what would you do if you wanted to get people to start listening to you?
Get
Would you?
drunk.
You get why? Maybe because that would make you more entertaining, right?
Yeah.
You probably wouldn't start like shouting at the rooftops, at the top of your lungs. Because people would like look at you. Maybe you grab their attention for a few seconds, and then they realize like this guy is full of crap. And then they look away, and then you try and say something important, and then it's like whatever. What you probably try and do is just pick one person, go over to them and shake their hand, introduce yourself, say what you're doing. Then go to someone else in the room. Listen to what they're talking about. Oh, they're talking about something interesting. Introduce yourself. Oh, they're talking about, cars, and I'm interested in candles. Okay, well, I'll leave the car guys over there and I'll go talk to the people who are interested in candles and go and shake their hands. It's the same thing with X. Don't look at it in terms of intellectualizing. Don't cry out like gamify it. I'm sure you can to some degree, but I don't think if you're trying to make meaningful connections, just like you can manipulate people in a room to try and listen to you for 5 minutes, you could probably do that in real life as well, but it's not going to last very long. And pretty soon they're going to realize you're full of crap and it's going to crumble and people are going to stop listening to you and you'll lose your integrity. If you want to build a long-term community, treat it like building a community in real life. Interact with one person, especially when you're starting off. Interact with another person. Treat those like friends, like you're trying to build friendships and keep coming back. Like, heck, Florian, you and I met on X, right? If I treated our initial conversations like a transaction, like I'm trying to just like get you as a follower, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation. And I probably wouldn't be getting any engagement on my posts if I treated everyone that way,
I like this analogy of the party because it makes sense. You open the door, there's these people who have been like networking for hours already, you're late, and you try to get in. And then what will you do? That's a really good example. And another thing that you say, you have to be authentic. And I think it sounds easy, but it's really hard because a lot of people don't know what is their authentic self. So do you have any thing like exercises or whatever to actually be authentic or just be yourself?
Good question. Robert Greene?
Yeah.
The guy who wrote the book 48 Laws of Power, I think it is.
Yeah.
He talked about this. I saw a clip somewhere. It was on a podcast. And he described authenticity as this thing that doesn't exist. Anyone who's saying they're authentic is putting on a facade of being authentic. Authentic is a play. It is a performance. You're performing as coming across as authentic. So I think I think it comes back to that thing that I was saying a minute ago, which is that whatever's cool to you will probably be cool to someone else, almost certainly be cool to someone else. So people, think about what it is that you like to consume, the content that you like to consume. And then at the start, I think it's perfectly okay as a strategy to mimic those people and mimic those inspirations. So pick inspirations. For me, an inspiration was, for example, Mark Liu. I saw his content. He would, go around filming himself in public. He'd talk to the camera about what he's thinking, what he's doing. Daniel Dalen, it was another inspiration. And I loved his content style, the video style, the way he makes his videos. Levels.io, Peter Levels is another inspiration. So he doesn't make videos, but his raw, like unfiltered format of his opinions, his opinionated nature is what I found really interesting and compelling. So I was like, okay, you have these three pillars. Mark Liu is kind of like a general and kind of a SaaS guy. And then Daniel Dalen for the content style and Levels.io for the sort of the opinionated side and the raw filter. And I basically took my time to just copy each of these people. Not copy directly, copy in a way that is, it's like the quote that says the best artists steal or something like that.
Yeah.
So the quote, I think you steal, you copy, and make it yourself. Apply your own take. You don't plagiarize. You apply your own take, and then eventually, through that process of copying the greats, you will find your own style. And I think what authenticity is it's the process of discovery. Like you said, people don't know what authentic is. I still don't know what authenticity is to me. People say like, oh, that comes across as really authentic. That's like comes across as really, vulnerable. And I think authenticity and vulnerability are very different. But oftentimes people, when you're vulnerable, people call it authentic. You could be, fake vulnerable. But in terms of getting your stuff seen by a lot of other people, I think people are sick and tired of soulless slop, like AI slop. And so I think if you can take a little bit of yourself and put it out there, and obviously you can wrap it up in this way that is emulating your inspiration so that you can try and find this style that does resonate for a wider audience. But if you can take a piece of yourself and put it out there, I think that is what is optimally authentic and optimally vulnerable. For example, in my case, I was genuinely crapping myself in the airport, thinking, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? I don't know if this is gonna work. I also had blind faith in myself. I was like, no matter what, I'm going to make this work, which I think is very important, and that's a separate discussion. But I was like, okay, this might take a year, this might take 2 years, it might take 10 years, but I'm going to hit 10K a month. So this video is going to be relevant one day. And it was just saying how the things made me feel. Again, there's still stuff that I don't feel comfortable sharing online. So I'm not like completely vulnerable, right? I'm not going to share the deepest insecurities and things that I'm going through, self-discovery. And I don't think you need to do that to be vulnerable. But I think sharing a little bit about what is going on in your mind as it is happening, rather than filtering yourself and holding yourself back, is what is authentic. People have these, I think most people have these thoughts day to day. Oh, I think about this. This is my opinion on this. I'm feeling really nervous about X, Y, Z. If you take those thoughts and you don't filter them, and like Levels.io is saying, doesn't filter his content per se, or at least it comes across that way. Well, Robert Greene, I don't know if it's a practiced thing of I'm going to practice intentionally. I think you do have to make it a practice. You have to think, okay, this thing, obviously I'm not going to say what I'm thinking about 100% of everything I'm thinking about, but I'm nervous right now. This is how this is making me feel. And so I'm going to post it in my tweet. It's taking a bit of yourself and putting yourself out there more than the average person would do. I think that is what comes across as authentic. The vulnerability aspect makes you authentic, being vulnerable, not, that's what I say. Sorry, it was a bit of a ramble because I'm figuring.
It's a really good one. One thing I want to say is that you shared that you started Twitter X in 2023, but you started to record yourself way younger. Because I remember you posted this video on Instagram, on Reels or TikTok, whatever, where you shared a video of yourself, like pretty young, doing your video and talking in front of a camera. How old were you back in the day, and why did you do that?
This has made me think about, yeah, that it made me think about my answer better actually, about authenticity. For the longest time, I've been obsessed with cameras, and I've been obsessed with taking photos and videos of everything and everyone and myself. Um, there was this old YouTube channel challenge where someone, like the clip, one of the clips I think you saw in the video that I posted, I was probably 11 or 12. Um, yeah, I went through this phase of making like vlogs when I was like 11, 12, and posting on YouTube. I started my YouTube channel when I was 10, and I made these what I think they were called NeoCube magnet videos tutorials, where I basically filmed my hands, no face in it, and I would make these sculptures, and then I would edit it and I would upload it. And then I went through a phase when I was 15 or 16. I made a meme YouTube channel to try and gamify the algorithm to get as many views on like meme videos following trends at the time. So I think I've always been obsessed with or found interest in video content, editing, filming stuff, the algorithm. And so when X came around and I tried to listen to what it is that I actually want to do and what it is that I don't want to do, and I followed the path of following what I do want to do, following the heart of video content creation and all of that was natural to me. Which when I said it links back to the answer to my last question, I think what is authentic to you is going to be authentic to someone else, is going to be different from what authentic is to someone else. So you're right. I've loved making videos and I've loved the algorithm since I was very young. And it goes back to, for me, it was super cool. I think understanding what people are interested by, what people want to consume, and therefore what goes viral in the algorithm is fascinating. Like, it lights me up. And then having a vision for a video and being able to make that vision a reality in a matter of seconds. You film something, you plug it into your laptop, you put some music over it, and I love music as well, so I love editing to music and putting that together and then, creating that. I love doing that. So because I love doing that, I think it comes across as authentic because I do love doing it. I'm not forcing it. And so to answer your previous question, I think what is authentic to you is what if you sit down and ask yourself, what exactly do I like doing? What genuinely, if I had a free week to do whatever I wanted to do, what would I be doing? And if you can find a way not to monetize your passion. People say like, oh, make your passion your job. I don't think that's a good thing because then you start to attach, monetary, you start to like try and perform. And I had this with my YouTube channel as well. I had one video that went super viral. My first YouTube video got like 125,000 views from a zero channel, nothing on the YouTube channel previously. And I just loved making that video. It was for fun. It was the filming in public video that I put on YouTube, on X, sorry. And I made a vlog out of that and I had great fun with that. But all of a sudden I felt this pressure of like, crap, okay, I gotta make the next one as good because now all these people are looking. And it's like, now my passion was this potentially a job, and there's the pressure to make it good. And as soon as the pressure comes on, I burn myself out on the second video and I haven't posted a video since on YouTube. So I think authenticity comes from the place of listening to yourself and what you genuinely enjoy doing, and then releasing any kind of pressure and any kind of performance or expectation of the result, and just letting yourself authentically create, allowing yourself to just spool yourself out there, take a bit of yourself and just, overflow what it is that you're passionate about. Maybe it's cars, maybe it's painting, I don't know, maybe it's music, maybe it's dancing, whatever it is. And for me, this video and virality.
You talked about Daniel Dalen before, and there was a guy who was studying Daniel Dalen, and he was talking exactly about that. Is you kind of have to do an ikigai of yourself, like what you're good at and everything, but like mainly what are your strengths and your skills, and you have to take a step back to understand what they are. And for you, for example, is video. And now you're doubling down on that. And it's also building product, and all of that together make you, you. And then I think that's your authenticity, the same way that Daniel Dallin had some taste for the video. He also have kind of software background, and is really good with talking Chinese and knowing China. And the three together makes a YouTube channel that exploded, product that exploded, and it made him authentic. And I think that's exactly what you describe about yourself. It's just finding your skill and put them all together, and that's what makes you different.
100%. Yeah.
You
It's ikigai. I like that.
you made daily video. We basically kind of met because of that. We were both doing daily video. The only difference is that I stopped at 85 days and you kept going. I think you're at 184 days, right? Today,
Yeah.
something like that.
Although I've started doing weekly instead of daily. Daily was too much after I hit the 10K month goal.
What is the importance of consistency? Is consistency important in creating content?
Yes. Yeah. Massively important. If you think about launching a rocket and you're trying to get escape velocity, the concept of escape velocity to get out of the atmosphere. If you want to reach escape velocity and you're going to power on the engines, and all of a sudden you just keep pausing it and just going and then you let go of the power output, it's going to take so much more power, and it's going to take so much more longer. And by that point, the rocket might start just falling back to Earth. And I love analogies. You might be able to tell by this point. I think if you do not have consistency, I don't think consistency is entirely important forever. What is your goal? If your goal is to try and build an audience, to get recognized by a lot of people and have your community, for example, Levels.io. I think if Levels.io took a week off posting now and he came back, he'd be pretty good. But if you're just starting and you do it for 2 months and all of a sudden you take a week off, it's going to screw your escape velocity, because you're not at that point yet where you can justify and where you have earned the right to take some time off. And even then, I think it's not a great idea. Ideally, if you can, fill in the gaps of consistency and schedule, so that you don't have that break and you don't have that time off. And by time off, I mean time off the internet. Because if we're talking about posting content online and you're talking about consistency, that is consistently showing up every day on the internet. Think about how much content people consume on the internet every single day. Think how much content they consume on their X feed. If you don't show up for a week, then they will have consumed thousands of other people, and probably people spend 10 hours a day on their phone, let's say. Some people do, many people do, maybe more. In a week, they've consumed 70 hours of content, which hasn't been you, because you haven't been showing up. So they've completely forgotten that bit about you. And then all of a sudden you reappear, and they'll be like, oh yeah, this guy. And even if it's even if it's 48 hours, that's enough. 24 hours is enough for people to forget you. So consistency fills in this gap. It is like picking a plot. Again, another analogy, picking a plot of land and owning that plot of land. So like your villa in Bali, right? You now have a long-term lease on, you're not going anywhere,
Yeah.
If you weren't leasing that apartment and just whenever you stay in that villa, you owned it, and when you left, you didn't own it. So there'd probably be someone who filled in your spot. They're like, this is a great villa, and they'll take your spot. And so if you're consistently showing up, you're not giving anybody any room to forget you. And this is one thing that someone said when I was starting to go and post these daily videos. And I didn't think about this. I wasn't thinking this far ahead as I started. I was just like, okay, this is a challenge. A lot of people aren't going to do this. And so if I do this, that's going to make me stand out, right? Think about Mr. Beast. When Mr. Beast started, how did Mr. Beast start? He started by consistently showing up and doing things that other people weren't willing to do. So he would sit down and say Logan Paul 1,000 times, 10,000 times in 24 hours. He would count to 100,000 or whatever it was. He would do these absurd endurance challenges because nobody else would be willing to do it. And I thought about it the exact same thing. So when I started, I thought about, I know for a fact, I'm going to get to day 100, whatever it is. I'm going to get to 10K a month. I'll find a way. And if I do this, so many other people aren't going to do it. And so I'm going to stand out. And so by a product of that, surely I'll have built this audience and I'll have built some sort of audience or traction through that, even if this doesn't go anywhere. So there's that aspect. And in hindsight, I recognize the importance of showing up so that people don't forget you. So consistency is massively important, but consistency doesn't mean you have to show up every single day, which is ironic. You want to appear online every single day, but you don't have to show up every single day. So for example, if you want to take a day off, which I think is extremely important, otherwise you'll burn yourself out. Taking some time off just to recollect yourself and recognize what it is you're doing and, just have a space to breathe is, schedule some content in advance. That's why I schedule some content sometimes. I don't think it's a bad thing if it's every now and again. The bad thing about, or what scheduling content doesn't allow you to do, is it doesn't allow you to give your real-time opinion and your real-time thoughts, which there's a lot of value in, I think. If you're talking about trends and what's happening now, if you're able to suddenly something goes viral and you're able to share your opinion on it or make a video about it, that's great. If you schedule, you can't do that. You can't predict it. But scheduling can allow you to fill in the gaps. I didn't do this with my daily videos, so that was an exception. But sometimes I do, just to be able to make it so that people don't forget me. I know Mark does this as well, and loads of other people do this. They schedule some content so that you can have some time off to breathe and focus on building that cool stuff that you can then make content about. Because if you're just thinking about content, unless content is your only job, you're making content for other people who are doing cool stuff about other stuff. If you're just focusing on content, trying to force content, then you have no time to create cool stuff. And this is the whole problem. I know this isn't your question, but this is the whole problem that I know a lot of people face when they're thinking about, I'm building my product, I'm building my thing, I'm creating X, Y, and Z, and I've got to create content at the same time. How do I do both of these? Because, this takes up so much energy, this takes up so much energy. And this is where I say taking time off to focus on one thing and scheduling the content ahead of time allows you to create that consistency. You can show up every single day, posting a tweet on X. There is no excuse not to. You can sit down for an hour on every Monday and schedule 7 days worth of tweets. Anybody can do that, But that is important.
And what role did the daily video play in your growth? Because tell me first, and then I will tell you my side.
Mm-hmm. I think it's significant. I think it was significant in the success of SuperX, and by product of that, I think it was significant in my own success. So SuperX is my startup, for anyone watching this who's not familiar. And the daily video series was, I'm going to post a video every single day, documenting the process of growing my startup SuperX to $10,000 a month. And at the start of this video series, that was about $1,000 a month. And it took like 131 days, I think it was, of posting every single day, a video every single day, to get to 10K a month. And then after that, I've transitioned to weekly videos, just because I recognize the importance of showing up every at least every week. This gives me more time to focus on bigger projects, because I recognize doing a daily video, a vertical daily video, where you have to sit down, you have to think about something to talk about, you have to film it, you have to edit it, you have to upload across all the platforms. Doing this takes a chunk out of you every day. And on those days that you don't want to do it, it takes out even more. And like well, this is a separate thing, but yeah, I was in hospital for many of the days that I was, about 3 or 4 of the days, because I had terrible food poisoning and neck issues and all these other things in Colombia. But I still posted a video. And this is where I say the most important thing for consistency is you need to pick this thing called a minimum viable video. At least that's what I call it. I heard someone else call it the same thing as well. Or a minimum viable piece of content. This is something that is a minimum version of something that you can do to stay consistent and keep showing up. And for me, the minimum version of the video was to just film myself, quick clip snippet, and then put a song over it and put a little caption describing what was going on. I didn't talk on those days, but I still made a video and I still did an update and I still took a step forward, because, I was feeling like I was on the brink of, death in my body. And so but I still knew I could still move my arm. I could still tap my fingers. I was texting my family so I can make a video, to keep showing up. So I did that. But yeah, to your question, I think it was incredibly important. Just the more so the demonstration of discipline and consistency that I think in turn also helped SuperX, because it demonstrated to people that there was a founder who was intimately involved with the product. And a lot of people just signed up to SuperX because they were like, damn, like this guy just keeps going. like this product must be going somewhere, you know. You want to support the creator to support the product. So I think, yeah,
Yeah,
it was incredible.
100%. And I think there's also something else that it's probably a big thing of posting daily video is that people see your face every single day and it sets you apart of other people from X, because on X is one profile picture and text. And if you show your face every single day, people recognize you. And there is no way people don't know your face. If you say Rob, they know your face. If you say John Rush, you know the profile picture. You probably saw few interview, but you might not recognize him in the street. And I think that's like the two difference. What do you think about it?
True. Yeah. Yeah. It was funny because when I started posting the videos, I started getting recognized more in person, which is crazy. Like bizarre to me. I was in a gym in Colombia and this guy came up to me and was like, "You're the SuperX guy?" And I was like, yeah. Uh, but that only happened after I started posting these daily videos. So I think you're right. Literally. Yeah. Very weird.
Last
But yeah.
question. Last question about audience growing on X. What did you learn about X algorithm analyzing all this content on SuperX?
Ooh, we could make a whole 10-hour podcast about this in separate.
Give me the three top ones.
So at the moment, X loves video media. If you scroll through your feed now, it changes all the time, but we're talking 23rd of December 2025. If you scroll through your feed, it is quote retweets of content with media and media. Quote retweet media, quote retweet media, quote retweet media. And so if you put something with a video, people that's interesting, with a bunch of text as well, people are going to read that text and they're going to watch that video, and that is time on the platform. Time on the platform is what any algorithm wants, and more so what X wants now. X's algorithm worked different previously, but I can see this on SuperX. I can see this through using X daily. Content that increases time on the platform is what goes viral. Now, you can rage bait, and that will get people to engage with the post, and it will get people to really feel something and send this long message about "you're an idiot, this is wrong, yeah, blah, 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 blah," and that's time on the post, and so the post is going to go viral. But now all of a sudden, you've got all these people who don't like you. There's no necessarily integrity in the post if you can tell, like, this guy's just rage baiting. Okay, you might say something controversial. In the case of Peter Levels, he says stuff that he's opinionated about, that he genuinely believes it. So because he asserts his strong opinions. He's not trying to rage bait, but he unintentionally rage baits, which is a perfectly good strategy. And I don't think this. I think this is a very good approach to it. It's if you're in. And it always comes down to intention. If you're intentionally trying to rage bait people, this is something that is going to fizzle out very, very quickly. And you're going to lose all your integrity and people aren't going to want to follow you. But if you're just asserting your opinion and you're just sharing your opinion, you're entitled to your opinion, and it will create debate and it will create conversation. Those kinds of posts, going back to the algorithm, do great because they get people to engage. I experimented with this recently, actually. I don't know. I always run experiments on my profile. I don't know if you can tell or not. Have you seen my post recently about Singapore?
I saw a few posts, but I didn't see anything about it.
Well, I think I got like 2 million or 1 million over like a span of a couple of days impressions on these posts. Even yesterday, I posted another style of tweet, and it got 133,000 views. Let me show you. Like, obviously, I can screen share, but it's probably easier. I posted. You'll never start to notice I started to do this format where video plus long text, where I'm sharing my opinion about something. I tried like the Levels IO style because I was traveling and I was thinking about these opinions. It goes back to what we were talking about originally, which was don't filter what you're thinking about. Just share what you're thinking about, like you're sharing it with your friends in a group chat. So many people think about, this person's going to think about this person's going to think this about me, yada, 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 so I'm not going to post it online. But if you just unfiltered post what you're thinking about, like it's a group chat and you treat it like a group chat, this goes incredibly viral. And so this post got 73,000 views. If we go down, this one with a bunch of more media and like a long text where it was my opinion, this got 607,000 views. This one where I was first impressions of Singapore, just my raw thoughts with a photo, again, media, this got 574,000 views, and these were back to back to back. Another one where I was like, my opinion on Singapore's laws with a photo of no littering. This one got, again, 181,000 views. So This one, again, same thing. Long text with like an image. You see the format. It's intentional.
Yeah.
So media with long like opinion and just sharing your thing that people can then debate about. I was comparing Singapore with London, and the transport system, and loads of people had opinions on the London transport system. So they wrote long messages to tell me how they disagree with what I say, and I was just sharing my current opinion. But that stuff is time on the platform. If it's a meme video, I've noticed a lot more meme content that's going viral right now. But I would say if you just look at the X feed, I guarantee this is just my random X feed. It's media and quote tweets. So you have media, and then again, excluding the ads.
That's right.
Again, media, you'll just see, if I scroll fast, there's media everywhere. These are media. We're on Twitter, the text-based platform. And it's media. So what you're seeing on your feed, which is media, is what you have to post if you want to get seen. There are exceptions where someone says like something so banger, like Naval, a quote that's just like, you know, people react with that fire writing emoji. But media and quote tweets, again, here you go, quote tweet, level 0. Why? Because it creates conversation. What does conversation create? Conversation creates time on the platform. So this is what I'm seeing right now on X.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like there is this guy, Kaizo, who shared his opinion on Valencia. Like he was saying that Valencia, like honestly, nothing like shocking, but he was comparing Valencia to San Francisco because he's been in San Francisco before. And he got, I don't know, many million views on this post, but that's crazy. And that's exactly the format that you say is like media plus opinion. But something that you said as well, and it's nice to have a disclaimer on that, is that post an opinion that you believe, like something that you truly believe in, or like something that crossed your mind, and don't post something just to rage bait, because rage bait attract haters, and trust me, you don't want haters. Like if you have haters on something that you don't believe in, or like something that you post and wasn't really you, that's a waste of time, because you will just have people who will say bad thing about you every single day, will wish you the worst thing while you don't even believe in this message. So yeah, post something that you believe in or cross your mind.
Yeah, completely agree. The craziest thing is, you know, from some of these tweets, I got death threats just in the last few days, just because of, you know, it's Twitter. Twitter is Twitter. So yeah, don't. And the thing with rage baiting as well is you lose your integrity. I've seen people who I know are just rage baiting for the sake of engagement. Rage baiting and engagement farming are the same thing. And if someone's out there engagement farming, it's the same thing that goes back to the analogy that I was talking about. If you're meeting people in a room, if someone's just trying to get attention and they're just behaving like a clown just to get your attention, soon enough, you're going to be like, I don't want to speak to this guy, because this guy, you know, if he's there talking about his genuine opinion and he's genuinely interesting, if you disagree with his opinion, maybe you'll be someone who wants to debate him. Maybe you'll be someone who wants to get physical and like, I don't like your opinion. And there's those people on Twitter as well. Or maybe you'll agree with his opinion and you'll listen and you'll dissect. And it's the same thing as in real life. If you're just trying to get stuff, if you're just trying to attention seek with the intention of attention seeking, then with the intention of attention seeking, then it's not going to last very long. You might get some viral posts, but it's not going to build you an audience or a community.
Amazing. Let's talk about product now. You built SuperX with Tibo. You didn't build it from scratch. You actually kind of got the product at one point. Can you explain how it worked, and also what was the state of that product back in the day when you got it?
Yes. Yeah, I don't get to talk about this much, so I'm excited to talk about it. So SuperX, quick history, as best as I know it. SuperX was built originally as a Chrome extension by a guy called Hugh, a Vietnamese brilliant developer. He's got other platforms, other products like Gatsby and other products that he's building and has built. And he built one called SuperX. It was a Google Chrome extension. It was a Chrome extension that allowed you to get your analytics on X in a much more filtered and palatable way, a bit like Blackmagic, if you know Blackmagic by Tony Din, legend as well. And at the same time as he was building this, Tibo Maker, who I know you had on your channel recently, was exiting a massive acquisition of Tweet Hunter and Taplio. And Tweet Hunter was a platform, very much to what SuperX is now. It was a platform to help people grow on Twitter and help people manage their audiences and grow an audience on Twitter. Back when X was Twitter, that was why it was called Tweet Hunter. And he sold that along with Caplio, which was like Tweet Hunter for LinkedIn. And he sold that for millions of dollars, exited it finally in 2024. And he didn't have what a lot of people asked. He didn't have, as far as I understand, a no compete or non-compete clause in his
crazy. It's crazy.
So what did he want to do? He saw the rising potential of X, now Twitter, now X, and he saw the opportunity for AI. And now he doesn't have his baby Tweet Hunter anymore. So he's like, okay, let me try and build something else. So he looks on the market, finds SuperX, thinks SuperX is a great Chrome extension, uses it day to day, and obviously approaches Hugh and eventually acquires it. And when he comes in with the acquisition of SuperX, he suggests to Hugh, okay, first of all, we need to increase our prices. And second of all, we need to build a web app. Just like Tweet Hunter had, we need to build a web app. SuperX can't just be a Chrome extension. So Hugh and Tibo start working on the web app, with Hugh obviously being the developer. And effectively, Hugh at some point decides that he doesn't want to work anymore with Tibo, with the conditions of which I don't know, and I don't want to speculate. I have respect. I just know that their work style didn't work, or their agreements in terms of where things wanted to go didn't work, so they decided to part ways. Tibo acquired the remainder of Hugh's shares, and so Hugh is completely out of SuperX now, and Tibo owned 100% of SuperX. Now, as you know, Tibo has a lot of other very successful products. He's very spread thin on all of these products, and so he didn't have the time to go in and be the developer of SuperX. So he posted this tweet on X saying he was looking for a full stack maker, someone to build SuperX, build the SuperX web app, such and such. And at the same time, I was closing down my agency. I'd made a load of money, but I was tired of building stuff for other people. I wanted to build something for myself. And coincidentally, I was building a product because basically over the last few months, I'd been going viral with my agency, and I'd been making lots of money through my agency by posting viral tweets and getting inbound leads. So I was like, damn, it would be so cool if I could build something that would systemize the virality in the algorithm. So it would just allow me to brain dump on Monday morning the sort of things that I want to talk about, or the wins and the losses that I've had in one place, and then create a week's worth of content just like that with AI. And so I started to build this platform called Brandcast. And in the process of building Brandcast, with the idea being broadcast your brand, I decided to do market research, as anyone would, and I would look at the products on the market. I found Tweet Hunter, Hype Fury, and I saw this new and upcoming SuperX. This is like November 2024. And it was in January 2025 that Hugh and Tibo split ways. So I was actually part of the beta program, but as a user, not as a builder of SuperX, back in November 2024. And so when I saw Tibo, and I actually didn't see Tibo's post looking for a full stack maker, I saw his post giving feedback on the applications he'd already received. And he said, hey, send me a Loom video, send me a this, this is what will make a good application. So I saw that post, and I then saw the post about SuperX, and I was like, working with Tibo, I had like 3,000 followers. He had 170,000 followers. I knew Tibo. I looked up to Tibo, and so I was like, this would be sick. And also, they have a lot of the analytics infrastructure already. I have the ideas of what I want to build with AI and all the web application. They have the analytics infrastructure built out. And so I was like, sick, this would be perfect. And so I joined Tibo with an agreement, and time could not have been funnier, because literally what I was doing when I went to Rio de Janeiro, I had a week in Rio de Janeiro. That week was the trial period of SuperX. So Tibo was impressed by what I'd built with Brandcast already. It's just a proof of concept platform, but I built something that I could show him on a video. We had a conversation. We decided that in that week, I was going to try and build a feature of AI tweet inspirations. And he was obviously testing a few people at this point. I think we were down to 2 people at this point. And he decided that he wanted to work with me over the other person, based on, that week and what I'd built. And he was impressed by that. And so from that point onwards, I was basically just onboarded into SuperX. Hugh gave me some help. He sort of helped me a little bit, but it was very hands-off. But he just sort of helped me with some setting up environment variable files, such and such. But SuperX, wow. SuperX is a mammoth of a project. It is 5 repositories, 4 EC2 instances. So that's like 4 servers. You've got Chrome extension. You've got the separate server for the SEO tools. You've got the main server that's shared by the web app and the Chrome extension. You've got the web application itself, the front end, and then you've got the vectorized embeddings side of things, which is a separate server in and of itself as well. Which is basically, for those who don't know, it allows you to convert tweets into numbers, so that I can do similarity searches. So if I want to find a tweet that is similar to health, but I don't want to just do a keyword search on health, what I'll do is I'll embed loads of tweets as numbers, and then I'll take the term health, I'll embed that as a number, I'll turn that into a number, and then I'll find the numbers that are similar and pull those back, and that allows me to basically get similar posts to health. And so that in and of itself, that vectorized database of embeddings and the similarity search is on a server in and of itself. So I had to get to understand how to develop on each of these 5 repositories, how to deploy to them, how to test on each of them. So I had to create my like CI/CD pipelines for each of these 5 things. There were loads of bugs that I didn't know how to deal with. At the same time, X was deprecating V1 of the X API and migrating to V2. So I had to figure out where in SuperX the X API is being used and migrate it to V2. Milvus, we were using Milvus. As we were scaling, getting more users, all of a sudden our Docker container that we were running the vectorized database embeddings on was not working. It was not able to keep up with the load, so I had to migrate that to the cloud. Our media upload solution was just putting files on the server, so I had to migrate all of that to use R2, Cloudflare R2. The infrastructure, X reached out and wanted to change some things, and the X API was constantly changing. And now we're piloting the pay per usage API. So I've had to migrate that like 2, 3, 4, 5 times, which every time I do it is an absolute nightmare. Again, I've had ongoing issues with some of the Milvus stuff. There's the OAuth, which I had to migrate from like OAuth 1 to OAuth 2. The worst thing was migrating from Lemon Squeezy to Stripe, because basically, for those who don't know, Lemon Squeezy, which was a merchant of record solution, which means that you don't have to manage the tax and the sales tax and all that, isn't being maintained basically anymore. I think it is, but it's falling apart because it was acquired by Stripe, and Stripe are now building their own merchant of record solution called Managed Payments. And so Lemon Squeezy was falling apart, and I was getting messages every day like, you charged me even though I canceled my subscription. And I'm like, this is Lemon Squeezy, bud, not me. So like, it would take 30 seconds for the dashboard to load. Their affiliate program completely broke, so that doesn't work anymore. And so I had to migrate everything over to Stripe, which is a nightmare, because Stripe can automatically copy all the customers over from Lemon Squeezy to Stripe, because Lemon Squeezy in the background uses Stripe. So they can copy the customers over. Subscription records, you have to manually recreate. So I had to create various scripts where it would migrate all the payment data. It would have to figure out when the user is going to be billed, make sure to create a new free trial on Stripe for that user, make sure you do it correctly. I recognize there was another issue, which is if the user had multiple cards registered, then you had to make sure that they copied the correct card over. So I had to look at the user on Lemon Squeezy, see their customer ID, copy that over to Stripe, look at the subscription, which one of the customer's cards is used on that subscription, apply that specific card to the new subscription on Stripe, not someone else's card. And I only figured this out when I migrated a batch over and they were all failing, and I was losing MRR. And I'm like, oh God. And so I only recognized that when the subscriptions were failing, and then I had to reach out to those users directly. And so it was a nightmare. And so that was Lemon Squeezy to Stripe. That was only a few months ago. We're now on Stripe, which is thankfully okay. The SEO has had multiple issues. Basically,
And you know what I love about what you're talking about is that people see a short video of you on X, see what you do. Oh, this guy went from 0 to 10K. Oh, now he's at 14K a month. They think, I will do it. And then now they listen what you had to go through. And I think 85% of them would have given up, because, that's an horrible gift to have, like to have like all these bugs to solve and everything. So it's nice that you share that and share like what it takes to actually get where you are now. So thank you.
Thank you for asking. I've never gotten the opportunity to talk about that. It excites me because I'm like, this is the real work. Like you're saying, this is
Yeah.
the stuff that I was banging my head against the wall. People say, did you doubt along the way? Yes, I doubted nearly every single day. Like for 7 months before we launched in July, from January to July, Tibo and I had literally talked in March. We were sending Slack messages back and forth. He basically asked if I still want to work on this because I hadn't pushed stuff in a long time. I was struggling personally with figuring out what I wanted to do, what I wanted to do with SuperX. It just seemed like a mammoth project that just was like non-stop fires. The way I was telling my friends and my family was, it's like, I'll put out a fire here and 10 other fires will ignite. So then I just think about, do I want to put out this fire? Because if I put out this fire, 10 more fires are going to ignite. And it was just like, every time I progress forward, it feels like 10 steps back. But I just kept going forward. In fact, the video I posted yesterday for day 194 is kind of talking about this because I'm still facing this every single day. The bug comes up and I'm like, I don't know why that is. Let me try and investigate. It's the consequence of technical debt. So like you said, it's a great gift to have to be given this thing with an amazing infrastructure, but I've had to rebuild everything from the ground up. One other thing was the Chrome extension and the web application have these OAuth tokens. Imagine when someone logs into the Chrome extension, it invalidates them from the web app. So it logs them out of the web app and everything in the web app breaks. So you need the syncing infrastructure. So I had to rebuild SuperX 10 times over of what I was already given. So it's funny. I always think, would it have been easier to just rebuild from scratch? Maybe, because then I would have known everything that was going on. But yeah, I'm still grateful. It was the right decision at the right time. And now we just got to get to 100K MRR as quickly as possible so that I can bring on some help and not be alone in doing it anymore. That's what I want to get to.
So from January to July, you were basically struggling rebuilding SuperX, but also beta testing with few users, and you only launched on July. The important thing to say as well is that between January and July, you didn't make much money because I think you were around $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
And it's not all your money because you're building that with Tibo. So that's important to say that you build from January to July, struggling as well and not making a crazy amount of money building that.
Yeah, I think in total I made about $1,500 between January and July.
Crazy. Yeah. And what you launched in July, what was like the moment that you say, okay, this product will be huge, or like it finally work? Like what was the day that you felt like all this work finally pay off and it's actually working?
Like when I realized, oh, this is working, or like this is gonna work?
It's working.
When I launched and our MRR spiked, but it goes back to the faith thing. I had ultimate faith. I knew there was not a bone in my body that doubted that I was going to get SuperX to 10K MRR when it was in July, to the point that I even talked to Tibo about this in advance, and we discussed some stuff. And I knew that from the point of launching in July, I had so many ideas that I knew were going to go viral, and I had planned out my approach ahead of time. I just didn't know how fast it was going to happen, and it happened faster than I thought. I think we went from $1,000 a month. We added about $1,000 in monthly recurring revenue, so doubled it in like 24 hours after launching. And from that point, I had multiple viral videos that took us up to $6,000 a month in 45 days. So we went from 1,000, which we've been stuck at. So we've been around 1,000. So when I got given SuperX, when I joined SuperX, it was about $800 a month, something like that. And we dipped down to potentially like closer to like $600 a month at one point, but we were balancing between like $600 and $1,000 a month during the 7 months. And then as I was starting to onboard more users just before July, I managed to get us up to like $1,200 a month. So we were about 1.2K in July. I launched, we got to about 2.5K in a week. Sorry, in a couple of days, rather. And then over the span of the next 45 days, we got to 6,000. And during that period, when I would check my Stripe every morning, and I saw all of the lemon squeezy at the time, and I got my emails, and I was just kept checking the emails to see all the trial signups, and it was like 15, 20, 50. Gmail caps out at like 100 emails in one chain of emails, and then it creates a new one. And I opened Lemon Squeak, this Gmail in the morning on my phone, and I would see like 2 email chains. The first one was full of 100, which means like 100 free trial signups, and then the next one. So as I was checking my email in the morning, I think I would just wake up in the morning, see that, and be like, "Oh crap, this is working." But the same thing with my YouTube video. You get to a high, what goes up must come down, and yeah, I felt the low, and we came down to about 7,000 MRR. And what happens when you have this massive surgence of hype and signups is you have massive pullback as well. So there was another 45 days after that of churn, and there was still signups. So it was not like a sudden pullback of the same amount. It was like up to 6,000, 7,000, and then this pullback down to like 6,000, and then we creeped up to 8,000 over like 2 months, and then I creeped up to 10,000. And then had the viral post about 10K MRR, and that got us like 13K. And then we're still now at like 30, we're now at 14K. And now at this, still, I'm trying to get to that again, you know?
What do you do when like it goes down to 7,000 because of the churn? Did you think about, okay, now we have to make the product better? I have to talk to customer. I have to find a solution. What did you do?
Yeah, good question. I talk to customers. I'm very grateful now. I'm very thankful that I have hundreds of active customers who constantly will let me know if something's not working, if something could be done better. I had to go through this ego death process when I started building SuperX, which was, you spend 7 months grinding your nuts off, try and get something to just functional, to be used by people. And then they come on, they're like, the AI generations are crap. Oh, your platform sucks. And I had multiple people be like, yeah, I use your platform. I didn't want to say anything about it publicly, but like, yeah, it sucks. So I'm not using it. And I'd be like, great, thanks. You bleed your life into it for 7 months, and someone says it's bad. And it's not a good feeling. And that makes me question everything. That makes you like a really, really not nice feeling, especially when you're not making any money either. But I recognized through a process of listening to podcasts, talking to people, talking to Tibo, talking to family and friends, and just practicing it, that talking to these customers and saying, why does it suck? What didn't you like about it? What would you like? What would you have liked? Was there anything that was confusing? That this process of talking to users who have churned, who have quit, allows you to make it's a gift. Churned users, in a sense, I say it, I'm not saying churned users are a gift, but they are a gift. Users who give feedback, critical feedback, are a gift. So much so that some users who have gone out of their way to give in-depth feedback, like this guy, I don't want to mention his name because I haven't asked him, who's brilliant and became a SuperX user recently. I've given him like credits and allowed him to use SuperX generously, much more than other users, because he's created this Excel spreadsheet with QA feedback and has given me screenshots. He's brilliant because he said he used to be in QA. And yeah, okay, it sucks because he's showing me all these little like intricacies and bugs, but this will allow me to make the platform so much better for so many other people. And every friction point is lost revenue. So if you can iron out these friction points, if you make the UX and the UI smooth and seamless and give something that people want to come back and use, feedback is gold dust. And I recognize that now, but it hurt at the start. It hurt a lot at the start to hear stuff that your product sucks. This thing that you tried to just get functional for 7 months sucks. But now I'm very grateful for it. So I speak to churn users. What is also really important to recognize is that some churn users just aren't your ideal customer profile. They're not users of your product. So, if some people are like, give me a massive discount because I'm a student and I can't afford this. It's like, I would love to do that, but if I do it for you, I'm gonna have to do it for everyone else. It's just like, recognize that you're not my ICP. My ICP maybe is people who can afford it and people who want to grow their business, and maybe we'll branch out to teams and businesses. But if someone's just experimenting with it or doesn't want to take X seriously, SuperX isn't for them. So if someone doesn't want to take X seriously and they have no intention to use it regularly, then that's fine. I'm not going to force it down their throat. If someone doesn't want to use a phone, you're not going to try and sell them an Apple iPhone, you know? So recognizing which feedback is relevant and which feedback isn't, which is signal and which is noise, that's still a process that I'm constantly trying to refine. I still every day have to recognize, is this relevant or is this not relevant? Listen to the stuff that is relevant, that is critical feedback, and that stuff is gold dust, you know?
We'll talk about distribution just after, but first to conclude on the product building, the product like side of it, what is the biggest mistake that you made? And also what is the key lesson of building a product to 14K?
Biggest mistake and the key lesson. Biggest mistake. I think I spent too much time trying to make things perfect. And I could have launched sooner and had this growth sooner. Obviously, I'm grateful the way that it happened and the way that it unfolded. But I think I tried to make things too perfect. And I recognized that if I just got things out like it took, I'm a perfectionist by nature and an overthinker. And this is what I love about making videos. I have full control over it and I can make it just the way I want it to be. And it's like, it lines up with the music. It's just like perfect masterpiece. I could put out there. With SuperX, when something randomly breaks and I don't know why, it frustrates me, but it's like, okay, is this important or is this not important? And so I was focusing on 100% of the stuff. Everything that would like ignite, I would try and get my hands into it. But then I learned, and I guess this comes to the key lesson, I learned that focusing on what is important is the most important thing that you can do. You are a human being with a finite amount of time. You need to look after yourself. You need to eat well, work out, take time with family and friends. There's lots of more that you need to do to be sustainable and build a business that is a lifestyle than just working on everything in the business. And so because you have a finite amount of time, you need to be really, really intentional about what is signal and what is noise. You think about people who are incredible at isolating signal from noise, like Elon Musk or Steve Jobs. These people were brilliant at recognizing what is noise and what is irrelevant and what is what we need to focus on right now. Steve Jobs had this thing where he would basically take, let's say, what are the 3 or I think 5 things I need to get done today, and I'm going to get them done today. Like, what are the top things that you need to get done today? Get those things done today, and then go tomorrow and do the same thing. And really focus on the signal. If something is, for example, there are these minor caching bugs that affect some pages on our SEO that sort of break the SEO, but don't really break the SEO. They kind of break the SEO, but don't really. So the SEO is still climbing. It could be climbing faster. But it kind of is going to take me the process of looking at it, ripping it apart, kind of rebuilding it. It's going to take a chunk out of my time to get this to work. Well, right now, first of all, we've got pretty high churn. So even if we get those users through SEO, they're gonna churn, and the SEO is already growing. It's already doing okay. It could be doing better, sure, but that is the 80% of the work that has 20% of the impact. If instead you work on the 20% of the work that has 80% of the impact, for example, listening to what my churned users are saying, they're saying, oh, for example, right now, this is what I'm going to do after we end the school. One user says, oh, the only reason I still use Tweet Hunter is because they have auto DMs and you don't. Okay, well, we churned because we don't have auto DMs, and I know that's something that we need to add. So I'm going to add that. And that is going to prevent a lot of churn for a lot of people, and that's going to get our churn down significantly, and that's going to be a feature that a lot of people are going to sign up for. And so that is something I can do in probably a much shorter time than the SEO fixes. That's going to create a much bigger impact. And so if I'm a perfectionist and I want to get the SEO working and it irritates me that I don't understand it and that it's kind of not perfect, that frustrates me. But that is part of the 80% that has 20% impact. If instead the auto DMs and multi-accounts and these other things and refining engage feature and improving the onboarding experience, this stuff is the signal. This stuff is the 20% that has 80% of the impact. If you, key lesson, focus on the 20% of the work, the signal that has 80% of the impact, and ignore the 80% noise that only has 20% of the impact. And at the start, biggest mistake I made was focusing on the 80%, focusing on 100%. And then I realized I don't have enough time. If I do this, if I keep doing this, it's going to take so much time. It's going to take so long. I'm going to miss so many opportunities. I really just have to keep moving forward, put my ego aside, put my perfectionist nature aside, and focus on the 20% that's going to have 8% of the impact. And people ask me. In fact, I posted my video yesterday about this, and I got a comment which was, "How do you know which is the 20%?" I think you will know. You do know. You know what you need to work on. And if you don't know, talk to your users. And if you really don't know and you don't have any users, just start putting stuff out there and it will become clear, you know?
David Goggins say that you know exactly what to do. And like anyone in his life know exactly what to do. You're just too lazy to do it. And that's like his sentence, and I keep that in mind. In everything, sport or work, like you know exactly what to do, actually.
Yeah.
So SuperX has gone viral multiple times. You did a lot of different launches and mainly with viral features. Where do you get this idea, and how do you know if a new feature will get viral?
Good question. I have an exact example of this. There was a guy called Eddie Zhu who posted a tweet of a viral tweet simulator back a few months ago. And I saw that when I was consuming the X feed, and I was able to find it thanks to SuperX. And I took this inspiration. I knew that algorithm simulators on X were an interesting topic because it was a proven concept that went viral. I thought even if I get a snapshot of this, I think he got, I can't remember if it was 3 or 30 million views, but millions of views on this tweet simulator, the algorithm simulator. So you put in a tweet, it says, is it going to go viral or not in the algorithm? And it was a short demo, and I was like, okay, that's going to go viral because it went viral before. Okay, I made a video about it, and it went viral. It got like 100,000 views, which is fine. It's a very small snapshot, but that got a bunch of signups. So that's where I got that idea. Cursor for Tweets, which is another feature, which is an AI writer, but I called it Cursor for Tweets because that was a trending topic. I saw that through looking at, what was going viral on SuperX by looking at the popular posts tab inside SuperX, but also just consuming the feed daily and recognizing what was going viral recently. And I say, if it's gone viral like 2 or 3 months ago, there's this concept of like evergreen posts, evergreen concepts, which is like the most famous one, the one I always think about when I think of like the perfect example of an evergreen post. You probably would have seen it. It's someone takes a photo of their MacBook Pro, new MacBook Pro. What should I install first?
Crazy. It works every time. Yeah.
And you see it every few months. It will resurface like mega viral every few months. Because if someone posts it a day after it went viral, people are going to be like, well, you're just copying this dude. If you post it 2 or 3 months later and you do your own spin on it, it's going to go viral again because people forget in the internet. That thing about we were talking about consistency, people will forget you very quickly. So 2 or 3 months is like 200 years on the internet. So a new generation of the internet users will see it. And so, yeah, I saw this X algorithm simulator. I just consume a lot of content in the feed. I'm using SuperX all the time, so I'm seeing all the top posts inside SuperX. And so I just see an idea. I'm like, oh, I could build that in SuperX. I'll make a note of it. And when it comes around to it, I will build it, and I built it. And so Cursor for Tweets went viral. And funnily enough, the initial Cursor for Tweets launch got like 80,000 views. And then when I did an update, it got 130,000 views because the format that I did, the first one was just a screen recording. The second one was me dancing in it. So you can double down and reformat and repackage the same thing multiple times. I'll do Cursor for Tweets multiple times, but now versus in July, Cursor for Tweets isn't really a trending topic as much anymore. People aren't that amazed by it. So I'll figure out what's interesting now. Look at SuperX popular posts, look at the X feed, see what's sort of trending. Maybe I'll have an idea, maybe I won't. But this is where I get my ideas from, consuming a lot of X content. When I see something cool that I think I could build into SuperX, I'll make a note of it.
So I had this other question, is like, where do you get inspiration about everything else in general? For example, the launch video style where you dance, the funky microphone that you use. And I know that a big part of the answer will be X, but my question, I will change it now, is like, do you get inspiration from outside of the indie hacker field, outside of X, or from anything else in life than just X?
Yes, good question. Yeah, I do. I scroll on Instagram a lot. I got the wooden spoon idea for the mic. on Instagram, and then I started doing daily videos with it. People started saying it was my idea, but obviously it wasn't. I'm not the first person to put a microphone on a wooden spoon. Um, so yeah, I got the wooden spoon thing from Instagram. The dancing demo video is a good idea. I don't think I saw it anywhere. I think this is one of the ones that I just came up with myself because I was bored. I was uh I was in my room. I was locked in. I'd been to hospital, so I could barely walk because I had bad hips. So I was like just locked in my room. I was bored. I was listening to music, and I thought it would be funny if I just danced while demoing something. And I think it started very small. Like it started with me just sort of head bopping. There's a video where I'm doing like some like hard style down under whatever it is, the the Australian national anthem song. It's not literally, but that famous song. And I was head bopping to that a little bit. And I think Mark Lou retweeted that post. And he was like, "This guy's having a great time." And this was before Mark and I had started texting, and that I knew sort of Mark. And this is one of my first interactions with Mark, like
That's
proper
what I
interaction.
love. That's what I love about it, because I wanted to talk about that. Like, you got inspired by Mark, and then you inspired the dance. Mark got inspired by you for the dance, because then after he did a launch video, same dancing like you. And I think that was a big moment for you. I would understand. And that's why I wanted to talk about that, actually.
Very true. Yes. Yeah. Significant. Um, Yeah, I don't hide it. Mark was one of he's probably the biggest inspiration for starting to post on X, because if you remember, I was saying I started on X about early 2023, and I started taking it seriously in August 2023. Well, Mark launched ShipFast in August 2023, and he made a bucket load of money, millions of dollars with ShipFast, hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. And I saw this happen in real time. I was in like April or whatever it was, March 2023, in his live stream with him building a small app called Hero Fit. He was live stream on YouTube every day, and there were like 2 viewers, and I was one of the 2 viewers, and I typed a couple messages in the chat, but he didn't see them. And I watched him go and take his surf break, and I was just like, this guy's living a cool life. He didn't have many followers. He had like 5,000-10,000 followers, maybe, I can't remember. And I thought, this guy's cool. And then I saw ShipFast blow up, and all of a sudden he became like a household name in the indie hacking space. And I was just like, wow, I didn't realize the opportunity here. And he demonstrated that to so many of us. And so through that, I was like, he can do it. There's something out there. I can do it too. Let's take this on. So yeah, it was significant because he was one of the main inspirations for me starting. So when he quoted myself, I still remember where I was. I was in a car in Colombia, in Medellin, on the way to meet up with some friends, and I checked my phone and I saw this quote, but I couldn't tell my friends because they didn't really understand the X space, because they don't know what or anything is. They barely knew what I was doing. So I'm like giddy, but I can't like tell anybody. So I'm like, so I think I replied to it, and yeah, and since then, yeah, Mark and I, yeah, have chatted, and he's just a wonderful human being, as I'm sure
He
you know.
is. He is.
A massive
Say
inspiration.
hello to you, Mark, if you watch this.
You're on,
I
Mark.
hope you watch this. What are the three distribution channel, like the main distribution channel now for SuperX? Probably X.
Still X. Though we've started to get a lot more signups just without me posting much on X. Right now, I'm not posting much on X because I'm trying to get the churn down before I feel like I have like an energy meter that I can use up to go viral on X and get a lot of signups. And I don't want to expend all of that right now. So I feel like I could go viral if I wanted to, and get a lot of views and get a lot of signups, but they would churn. So right now my focus is trying to get the churn down. So we're doing more passive signups. I'm not trying to do massive growth right now. Until that churn is down. So we're using Google Ads. We're doing Google Ads. That is marginally profitable, not massively. Spending a few $1,000s a month on that. We just started Meta Ads. We're trying to get it's currently negatively profitable. So our ROAS is less than 1, but we're trying to get that up. We just started, so we're trying to get the data, and we're getting closer to positive ROAS, return on ad spend. But so yeah, actually, I don't know if you know, Greg Eisenberg?
Yeah.
You know Dan Coe?
Yeah. Oh yeah, the
I,
video they did together.
yes, they did a video where Danko mentioned that he uses SuperX in his workflow, and Greg signed up as an affiliate and put it in his YouTube link after I tweeted at him and tweeted that like this is so cool. I think Greg then signed up as an affiliate, and we got like 100 or something signups through or something like that through that video. So that's still I still get emails saying like a Greg Eisenberg affiliate converted. So
How amazing is internet, seriously. Like Danko is such an inspiration. You know, I've been following what he did for a while now. I learned a lot about like creating content on X through him. And now like you're just like watching this video or someone tell you, hey, Danko just talked about your product. And I think that's amazing. Like there is no limit on internet. You know, the best example of that is Peter Level. I started to follow him in 2016, something like that. He was small back in the day, and now he's being retweeted by Elon Musk. Elon Musk commented stuff. Doesn't mean that they are friends, but you know what I mean? That the X is a crazy gate to have access to anyone. And there is no limit, absolutely no limit. Like Peter Levels, this small guy that I was following back in the day, is now in contact kind of with the richest guy on the planet. And I think that's an amazing platform for that.
I couldn't agree more. This is why I love X. I don't know. I haven't experienced it on any other platform than X.
Yeah.
Getting interacted with when I had an issue with Vercel, Guillermo Rauch reached out and helped me debug it. Freaking the CEO of Vercel. When I had when I posted some thread about Claude Code versus Cursor, Michael Truel, the CEO of Cursor, followed me, and then I got a bunch of Cursor employees reaching out, asking for my thoughts and stuff. And all of my, I would say, funnily enough, majority of my friends that I meet up with regularly in person now are from X. You know, Travis, you've spoken to you recently, I think yesterday or the
Yeah.
day before, Hacker Residency. I was invited to that because he found me on X. I went out for dinner with Tony Din and his wife Anne. Lovely couple, lovely people. So genuine and authentic and real and grounded. And yeah, I was going out with them for dinner, like in Vietnam, like last week. And that's so surreal because I've been following Tony for the longest time. He did black magic and everything. And then like I'll spend Christmas in a couple of days with Travis and a few other people here in Bangkok. It's just like, it's so bizarre. I was in network school the other few days ago because of like Travis and Hacker Residency, and that was all through X. I'm talking to you now because I met you on X. Mark, I met on X. Jack Frakes, I met on X. Peter, I've had interactions with because of X. Like everything that has been going well in the last year or so has been a credit of X, which I'm grateful for. I don't want to be like, oh, X is so great, but also I'm building SuperX, you know? So I have a bias toward X.
And X is the best. I actually switched in English just for that. Because in French, I had a limit of people I could be friend with or like contact or even interview. And I knew that if I switched in English, I would have no limit and I could talk to the people I really admire. So that's actually why I did the switch.
Interesting.
last
Interesting.
last question on distribution. What is your plan actually to reach 100K? Because that's your goal. Do you have a clear plan?
There's this article. Cool. It's like the bear something. I apologize that I'm butchering it, but that's his. He does like newsletters, and there was this article called Max MRR. So if you look up Max MRR, very interesting. It goes into the numbers, but behind MRR, and obviously we're talking about recurring revenue. And essentially the maths behind it is your maximum monthly recurring revenue. So what you will taper off at is the incoming revenue divided by your churn. So at the moment, if we do the maths of the current signups that I need, that I'm doing right now, which is about 15 signups a day. And I think it's really important you understand the numbers because we're thinking about, okay, how am I literally going to get to $100,000 a month? Well, 15 signups a day, 30% of them convert. That comes to a month about $5,265, if I remember it correctly, of incoming revenue per month, divided by the churn. If you divide the churn by 30%, that is, I think, something 5,265 divided by 0.3 is 17,000 MRR. So we're going to taper off we're going upwards, I think, at the current rate of our current churn, without changing anything, we're going to keep going up to about $17,000 a month. Well, if we get that 0.3 with the same number of incoming trial signups, so I don't need to increase my marketing at all, if I get the churn down to 5%, that's $100,000 a month. So either I get the churn down to 5%, and that's $102,000 a month because it's exponential, or I double the incoming signups. So I go harder on X, which is totally possible because right now I don't feel like I'm pushing hard on marketing at all. And I get it to 30 signups a day instead of 15. And I get the churn down to 10%, which is very realistic. That's also $100,000 a month. So, if I can get churn down to 10%, which is what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to build a product that gets people to sign up down to 10%. But also, it's like what you build when you build something that people don't want to churn from, that's valuable enough that people want to stop paying. More people are going to sign up. So I think it will get to this equilibrium where the churn will come down. And as the churn's coming down, the number of signups is going to increase, and somewhere in the middle, we're going to get to $100,000 a month. That's the numbers behind it. So I'm confident it's possible very, very soon. But the actual process is I'm going to keep talking to users. There are a few features that I know that I want to build. I think are going to be significant for churn and significant for the value in the product, which are auto DMs. A lot of people want to be able to auto DM, do giveaways, do many chat style interactions, so they can DM. How you have like set up on Instagram. So auto DMs is one feature that a lot of people want. Another one is multi-accounts, which allows us to onboard teams, which is going to be significant. Team discount for multi-accounts, so you can log into multiple accounts under the same subscription in SuperX. And also you can create teams on SuperX to allow you to, if you're a company owner and you want to get all of your employees on SuperX, you can get a discount for more seats. That's something that I want to implement very, 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 very soon. That's going to allow us to get more enterprise clients, which obviously will reduce churn as well. But then from an actual value proposition in SuperX, there are a bunch of things that I want to do to make SuperX better. Largely, what I understand is a massive pain point for churning users is they are not seeing the value in SuperX soon enough, and so they quit. The reason they stop paying for SuperX is because they determine that paying $29, $39 a month now isn't worth it because they're not seeing the results. If they were seeing the results and their X profile was growing, they'll still want to pay. Now that's a game of trying to give them the instruction. So I think of SuperX as of like a month ago, it was just a gym membership. You don't know how to use the gym. You don't know how to use the machines. It's like a toolkit. Again, another analogy. You go in and you're like, I don't know how to use this machine. I don't know how to get fit. I want to get fit. I want to grow on X. Well, I don't know how to. There's this toolkit, AI writer, analytics, blah, 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 blah. There's the bicep curl machine. There's the leg press, but I don't know what it's doing, what order. I don't have a workflow. I don't have a fitness plan. I don't have a nutrition plan. So what if instead of SuperX being a gym membership, which is great for people who know how to use the gym, and that's where we got to 10K MRR, how do I get it to 100K MRR? We turn SuperX, instead of just being a gym membership, into being a personal trainer with a gym membership. So SuperX literally guides you as if you're a personal trainer. This is what you're going to do today. You're going to come back tomorrow, and we're going to do the same thing. And great, you came back tomorrow. Look at this. Your muscles going up. This is, these are the gains you're having. This is where you're tangibly making a difference in your growth on X. So you can see the results. You're then motivated to come back tomorrow. And that is what I'm trying to build in this thing called SuperX Coach. Quite literally a coach, personal trainer, that will give you quick actions that are AI assisted, that will say, hey, this post went viral, try repurposing this for your content because it's relevant to you. Just try posting this. And it will then say, oh, this post you posted yesterday, this went viral. Great job. You've got this many followers, this many views. Great job. Try this now. And then, as for engaging, use SuperX Engage, which I just released. So I'm just playing with it right now, trying to get it better and trying to work it into the way I'm describing. Hey, it will come in and it will say, oh, this guy just posted this thing like an hour ago. He's relevant to you. In fact, he's posting stuff that you're interested in. Why don't you say something to him? So maybe say something like this. And then also engage with this niche. Try going into this niche and SuperX Engage and reply to 10 people. Set a goal, 20 replies a day, and send out those 20 replies. And then you come back the next day and it's like, great job. You hit your 20 reply goal. And now because of that, you got 50,000 views yesterday and you got 20 new followers. Look at why that is. Maybe you want to repurpose, and you can still go in and use it like SuperX is right now. But there's this additional bonus where there's this person from the trial period, day one, you're coming in and you're seeing this reinforcing coach that is guiding you through the process of growing on X. And this applies to the wider ICP that I'm trying to tap into to get to 100K MRR, which I think is going to be significantly valuable for a lot of people, and it's going to help us reduce our churn. So auto DM for multi-accounts and the coach and the whole onboarding UX is what I'm trying to work on right now. And I think if I get all of these good, that will get me to 100K MRR.
Makes a lot of sense, because I can imagine users coming, seeing you exploding on X, and they are like, okay, I will use this tool and magically it will happen to me. And then they arrive and they don't know to use X and SuperX, so they get lost and just leave. So I'm hooked for the coach. I will use your coach and I will get fit on X.
Maybe that's tagline. Get fit on X.
Another thing I want to talk about is Tibo. You're working with Tibo. It's the thing that we call like a co-maker, and I really want to understand how it works. So first, how did you end up working with it? You already answered that, but the second question is like, how do you work with him? Like, how does it work? Is it a weekly call with him? Is it like an actual meeting where you talk a lot together? Is it asynchronous? Like, how do you work together?
Yeah, we don't have video calls. I haven't video called him since January, actually. We do asynchronous Slack messages. So I'll feedback things to him. He'll feedback things to me when he sees stuff and like people mentioning him on X, or he uses SuperX and finds a bug or thoughts. He'll put that. We have various Slack channels. Yeah, I do all of the development. So I'll build stuff. I decide what I want to work on. It's very asynchronous. I build what I want to work on. I send the ideas to him. He gives feedback. He has a lot of experience, obviously, from Tweet Hunter. So when it comes to like auto DMs or multi accounts, he'll explain to me how it worked in Tweet Hunter, give some advice related to that. In the past, for example, I wanted to add LinkedIn, like even something you requested. And I wanted to potentially build out like, SuperX for LinkedIn. And he was like, whoa, as soon as you build out the thing for LinkedIn, people are going to suddenly say, I want this and this and this for LinkedIn, and it becomes its own thing. And that's why the Tweet Hunter and Tapio were separate products, not one product. So he gives us sort of wisdom when it comes to experience. He has experience building Tweet Hunter. He knows what worked there. He knows that. He said to me, look, SuperX needs to be 10 times better than Tweet Hunter in order for it to get big. So we need at least we need to have the table stakes features, the minimum features that Tweet Hunter has, to be as good as Tweet Hunter and then better than Tweet Hunter, which is a challenge. I do think we're already better than Tweet Hunter, but for example, they have auto DMs, we don't. So when I add that, okay, those people who use Tweet Hunter just for the auto DMs won't be able to move over. And then we'll make the AI inspirations way better. We'll make the engage feature way better. The coach, which wraps everything in together, and everything else that comes from that. So yeah, when it comes to Tibo, it's very asynchronous, off hands. We don't talk too much. I just build what I want. I update him. He gives feedback, and we sort of go like that.
What did you learn from him?
I think the biggest thing was this thing that I was saying about the takeaway lesson, focusing on the things that are important. I have the tendency or have had the tendency, because I'm relatively less experienced in business than him, to focus on the wrong things or focus on things that aren't as important. And he sort of helps me stay in check, or reinforces the things that are important to focus on and the things that aren't, when it comes to building out the product.
And what do you think make it working together? Because I asked this question because I talk also to Travis about that. That it's really hard humanly to find a co-founder, to work together. And I really want to know what works for you, because your binom work really well.
I think we both have the best intentions for SuperX. We both want SuperX to do well. So obviously that's significantly important. I think fundamentally we share a similar vision or the same vision. That was incredibly important. That's what I think Hugh and Tibo, that's what they said, at least publicly, that their working style didn't mesh per se. And I know that not everybody as a co-founder has a working style that meshes. Obviously, being a very asynchronous, there's not really any place to butt heads because we're sort of working completely, like we don't have calls, we just text and update. So yeah, it's very hands off, really. Yeah, I think from the place of just we're aligned on the vision, we agree with the place that things want to go, and he's very hands off and lets me do my thing, without saying like, you need to do this or this or this. It's very easy when I want to discuss things with him. I discuss some things with him. It's just very easy, very asynchronous. He was very clear from the start that we want to make this asynchronous. We don't need to. One of the things he says is we don't need to sort of discuss everything per se. Like, I trust your judgment. We'll discuss important things. He's very well. I don't know if you heard that. He was just very laser focused. He's very quick. So when I need him, he'll be very quick. So that's sort of leaked onto me. So I think you need a co-founder. For example, I've worked with people in the past that would just take years to respond. Obviously he's a human being. Sometimes he's busy as well, but he's very, very quick to give feedback and to iterate. When I'll launch a feature, he'll be very quick to reply and give feedback on it. And so this asynchronous only works if you guys are both committed. And I think so. Yeah, we're both committed. We both share the same vision, and we're quick to reply. And asynchronously, it's. Feel like from a product perspective, much of the time I'm just working solo on it because I'm the only one building it, and I decide what I want to build and how and such and such. But he's there as like a strong guide to keep things on track. That's how I think about it.
He's sending you a Slack now because he's listening and he's like, don't say that.
Yeah.
Back to you. How does today Rob feel versus the Rob who was in this airport, leaving everything behind?
More confident, for sure. I think confidence comes from doing things that you say you're going to do. And I said I was going to hit 10K a month, and I hit 10K a month, and I'm past 10K a month. Now I have financial security. So with that comes breathing room. So I can think more creatively. I still get myself worked up, but I'm able to step back and be like, you could take like a week off and it would not be a big deal because now you're making money and you can take a breather. I don't, because I want to keep working on SuperX, but there's like the security that creatively, I think it gives my brain space to breathe, because I'm like, look, we've already got minimum 14K MRR. Okay, we'll decrease if I don't do anything about it, but it allows me to have more room to play. I've got users that of course I can talk and I can get feedback from. So I just feel like I've got a lot more resource and abundance to play with now. So from a business perspective and from working day to day, I feel less scarce. So when I was on that airport video, when I was filming the airport video about to fly to Rio de Janeiro, I was coming not from a place of scarcity, because I was like, I'm throwing myself out into the world, and I think it's very important to just be like, yes, anything is possible. But then March, April comes around, and I'm into this super deep, and I'm starting to think like a deer against the wall that's being hunted by lions, and I start to go into survival mode and thinking, what are my options? And you start looking elsewhere, shiny object syndrome, rather than just committing. But I stay committed, and I think that's the most important thing, is to stay. If you genuinely believe something is going to work and that there's something at the end of the tunnel, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Obviously, you can validate earlier, and maybe I should have done that, but I knew that SuperX was a validated product. It's one of these unique products. It's proven with Tweet Hunter. I'm building with Tibo, so that was a confidence as well. Tibo gave me the confidence because he's done it before. Tweet Hunter got to 250K MRR. So I'm like, 10K MRR? We can do that. So I got the confidence from him as well, which is an understated aspect. And then... now I feel more abundant, which allows me to be more creative and have more fun with it. And I think that's one of those things that snowballs. When you're more free, you're more abundant, you're more creative, you can put yourself out there more genuinely, more authentically. And then in turn, it kind of reciprocates even more significantly. So more confident, more abundant. If you know what I mean by like abundant, obviously there's abundance in what, but I have a security of money, which I'm very grateful for now. And this allows me to work very, very hard. And there is some reward, you know, there is some reward. I do get paid now. Obviously, I want to get things to a higher level, but there is some reward, which if you're not getting reward, months and months and months and months of work, you get to a point where you're demoralized. So yeah, I had a lot of hope in January, and now I'm lit up in a different way. You know, there was that dip in between, but now I still have my struggles and it's still very stressful. But I feel more abundant, more optimistic, and that I'm actually on a path now. What path? I don't know, but a path.
So last question to end up. What would you tell to the Rob who was sitting at the airport that day, who just quit his job and was doubting about everything? If you can meet him and sit next to him in the airport, what would you tell him?
I'm like, bro, it happened. I was like, it happened. Yeah. If I wasn't allowed to tell him that it happened, that I hit 10K a month, which is my goal, and that things worked out and things are working out, then I would just tell him to look after himself, take things easy, listen to himself. One thing I tell people, and I would tell myself then, is the whole thing we were talking about, focusing on things that you enjoy and ignore things that you don't. If fundamentally you are not looking forward to what you're waking up to do, then you need to make a change so that what you wake up to is excitement, that what you're going to go and work on the thing that fulfills you. And I think that's also a very privileged position to be in, and not everybody can do that. And it does take the process of gritting through those mornings where you wake up and you're like, oh, I've got to do this thing again I don't want to do, but I know I have to do this thing to get to that point where I can be like, woo, every morning. I need to get SuperX to a base level of infrastructure where it just works, and then I can build the creative ideas on top. This is what I was thinking. So I say, breathe, keep going. But if it gets to a point where maybe it doesn't work, it's okay to it's okay. It's okay to take a step back. It's okay to start over. Don't quit. You know, the Shia LaBeouf, just do it. At the end of that video, he says, if you're tired of starting over, stop giving up. And I think this line resonated with me a lot. It's obviously it's a joke. It's like people meme the hell out of that thing, but that last line, if you go and watch it, this is what he says right at the end before he goes like that. But if you're tired of starting over, stop giving up. And so, yes, breathe, keep going, don't give up. The only reason I think I got to SuperX being successful is because deep down I knew that if I just got it to a point that it was going to work, and I knew that I just had to do this, and this, and maybe there was more that I didn't recognize. I didn't know I was going to have to migrate to Stripe eventually, but that's okay that I didn't know that. If I knew that, maybe I would have collapsed. But I knew that there was a path, and so I stuck to it. And so if you know that there is a path, stick to it and just listen to yourself. Trust your gut. Trust your gut more. Yeah, that's where I would end it. Trust your gut, be kind to yourself.
Amazing way to end up this podcast. Rob, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Florian. It was a blast. Appreciate you, man.
Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it! Make your dreams come true! Just do it! You should get to the point where anyone else would quit, and you're not gonna stop there. No, what are you waiting for? Do it! Just do it! Yes, you can! Just do it! If you're tired of starting over, stop giving up.